The Trial of Sorcery Part 13, Taf-seir of Surah Al-Baqarah. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Sufi Essence. In our last session, we delved into the profound spiritual tragedy of the children of Israel's animosity toward the angel Gabriel, peace be upon him, and their deliberate act of discarding the divine books behind their backs. We learned that the spiritual path demands a sincere, unconditional love for all of Allah's messengers and a complete submission to the entirety of His revelation. Today, our journey through Surah Al-Baqarah brings us to one of its most intricate and profound narratives, the story of sorcery and the trial of the two angels, Harut and Marut. This is a story that, far from being a simple folk tale, is a deep spiritual parable on the nature of knowledge, the ultimate test of free will, and the profound dangers of seeking power through means other than the divine. The Qur'an begins this section with a devastating indictment of their post-Solomonic spiritual state. Wa, Itaba, GMD, Tatler, Al-Shakach, Nu'alb, Malki, Sulamuna, Wa, MD Kafara, Sulamuna, Wa, Alkina, Al-Shakacha, Kafar, U, Alimina, Onasa, Osigra, Wa, MD, Unzilla, Alb, Omalakani, Bibabilla, Ahama, Martata, Wa, Martata, Wa, MD, U, Elimini, Minafaden, Watbi, Yakir, Wulp Inim, Nagnu, Fitnatin, Faltakfer, Fayata, Alamirna, Minhum, MD, Euphorikna, Behi, Bena, Almori, Wa, Zavji, Wa, MD, Hum, Biker Gina, Behim, Mina, Mina Bien, Mina, 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 Bina, Mina, 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 Winna, 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 Mina, 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 Winna, Mina, Winna, 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 Wolf Winna, Nan, Nan, Bizdula, Benetlatala, Pelula, Winda to Winda, Halala, Winna, Menelin, where and now, Womadala, and Nama, where now, Winna, La, and I tend to where, Yanfa, Yumwa. Lakat, Elamor, Lamani, Ishtarahu, MD Lahu, F. Al-Kachirati, Min Kalakin, Wa Labisa, MD Sharo, Bihi Anfusahom, Lake and Yu Laman. And they followed what the devils had recited during the reign of Solomon. And Solomon did not disbelieve, but the devils disbelieved, teaching people sorcery and that which was revealed to the two angels in Babylon, Harut and Marut. But the two angels would not teach anyone until they had said, "We are only a trial, so do not disbelieve." And yet they learned from them that by which they caused separation between a man and his wife. But they could not harm anyone through it, except by permission of Allah. And they learned what harmed them and did not benefit them. And they had already known that whoever bought it would have no share in the hereafter. And how wretched is that for which they sold themselves, if they only knew. This single verse is a theological and spiritual masterpiece, a dense and multi-layered narrative that requires a methodical and detailed unpacking. Let us begin with the first part of the verse, which exonerates the prophet Solomon, peace be upon him, from a grave accusation. The phrase Wa, Itaba, GMD Tatler, Al-Shia Kunu, Al-Bamolki, Sulamona, and they followed what the devils had recited during the reign of Solomon, refers to a false narrative that had emerged among some of the children of Israel after the death of Solomon, peace be upon him. They claimed that the great power and dominion of Solomon, peace be upon him, over the jinn and the winds, was a result of black magic, and they began to practice sorcery, claiming it was the source of his power. The Qur'an immediately refutes this slander with a powerful declaration, Wa MD Kafara Sulamonu, and Solomon did not disbelieve. Solomon, peace be upon him, was a prophet and a king, and his power was a divine gift, not a product of sorcery. The spiritual crime was committed not by the prophet but by the devils, Walakina al-Shayakena Kafar. But the devils disbelieved by teaching the people sorcery, which is an act of utter disbelief. The verse then introduces the highly debated story of the two angels, Harut and Marut. The phrase "you alimana al-nasa al-sigra wa m. G unzilla el-bayal malakani babila a charta wa mortata." Teaching people sorcery and that which was revealed to the two angels in Babylon. Harut and Marut is the central point of contention. The prevailing theological and Sufi interpretation is that these two angels were sent to Babylon as a trial for humanity. The knowledge they possessed was not magic itself, but the keys to understanding its mechanisms. They were sent as a profound and direct test of human free will. This knowledge was dangerous, and the angels, being instruments of divine will, issued an unequivocal warning to anyone who came to them seeking it. Wa mdu, alimni, minafaden, wat biakaralb, enam nagnu, fitnaden, fel takfer. But the two angels would not teach anyone until they had said, "We are only a trial, so do not disbelieve." The phrase enam nagnu, fitnaden, "we are only a trial," is a direct and compassionate warning. They were not teaching them sorcery to be used, but were giving them the knowledge of its workings, so that humanity could choose whether to use it or not. The final command fell, "Take for so do not disbelieve," is the essence of the test. The use of this dangerous knowledge for one's own worldly gain to manipulate the world through demonic means is an act of kufr disbelief, because it is a rebellion against the divine order. The verse then describes the specific, destructive purpose for which they used this knowledge. Fayata alamarna minhom md euphorikna, shbehi, bana al-mari wazavji. And yet they learn from them that by which they cause separation between a man and his wife. This is a poignant and powerful detail. Sorcery, in its essence, is a force of separation and destruction. The highest and purest form of human love, the love between a husband and a wife, which Allah Himself describes as a sign of His mercy and power, is the very thing they sought to destroy. The love between a man and his wife is meant to bring sakna, tranquility, and mawada, affection, into a home. Sorcery, in its blackest form, is the opposite of this divine purpose. It is a force that seeks to create hatred, separation, and discord. The verse then offers a profound theological clarification that is central to Sufi thought. Wa md hum, by kajina, bihi min, efaden. Il bayad ni all he, but they could not harm anyone through it except by permission of Allah. This phrase is a powerful reminder that all power, all causality, and all harm ultimately rests with Allah. Even the power of black magic is not absolute. It is subject to the divine will. This is a source of immense spiritual strength for the believer. It teaches us that no one can harm us, no power can touch us without the explicit permission of Allah. This is the essence of tawakkul, a complete reliance and trust in Allah. It is the spiritual antidote to the fear and superstition that are often associated with sorcery. The verse continues to highlight the profound spiritual ignorance of those who chose to use this knowledge. Wa yata alamuna md, yagarum, wa el yanfa, um. And they learned what harmed them and did not benefit them. They were so blinded by their desire for worldly power that they chose a path that was ultimately self-destructive. They pursued knowledge that harmed their souls, their communities, and their relationship with Allah, and they did so for a temporary and fleeting benefit. This is the ultimate spiritual folly, the antithesis of true ilm, which is knowledge that is sought for the benefit of the soul and the glorification of Allah. The verse concludes with a heartbreaking indictment of their ultimate spiritual transaction. Wa lakud alimr lamani ishtarahu md lahu flki kirati min kalakin. And they had already known that whoever bought it would have no share in the hereafter. The act of using this knowledge is framed as a purchase, a trade. They knew with a certainty that was given to them by the angels themselves that this was a transaction that would cost them their share in the hereafter. Yet they made the trade anyway. The final sentence is a lament for their profound spiritual ignorance. Walabisa, md sharo, bihi anfasaram, la kanur yalamin. And how wretched is that for which they sold themselves if they only knew. The phrase, la kanur yalamin, if they only knew, is a powerful, sorrowful echo. It is a lament for their spiritual blindness, for their inability to see the devastating consequences of their actions. The next verse provides a powerful and beautiful contrast to this tragedy. Wa, la, anahum, jamanu, wa itaka, lamathbatan, min, indial, hikairan, la, kainya, leon. And if they had believed and feared Allah, then a reward from Allah would have been better if they only knew. This verse is a profound spiritual antidote to the previous one. After describing the terrible consequences of sorcery and disbelief, the Qur'an offers a simple, powerful alternative. Wa la, anahum, jamanu, wa itaka. And if they had believed and feared Allah, the word itaka, feared Allah in this context, refers to a state of profound God consciousness, a state of deep awareness and piety. The Qur'an states that if they had chosen this path, they would have found that lamath batan min indial hi kairan. A reward from Allah would have been better. The word mathbatan is a reward that is given for a good deed, a reward that is a direct consequence of one's spiritual striving. The reward from Allah is described as kairan, which means better in every conceivable sense, more lasting, more fulfilling, and more valuable than any worldly power or gain. The verse concludes with the same poignant lament as the previous one, La Kanyer Yelaim. If they only knew, it is a beautiful and tragic spiritual echo. The first verse lamented their ignorance of the consequences of their evil actions. This verse laments their ignorance of the profound beauty and bounty of the spiritual path. It is as if the Qur'an is saying, if you only knew the true sweetness of faith, the real power of piety, and the boundless love of Allah, you would never have sold yourselves for the meager price of worldly power. My dear viewers, these verses offer a deep and timeless lesson on the nature of spiritual knowledge and the profound dangers of sorcery. They teach us that knowledge itself is a test. We can use knowledge to serve Allah and to benefit humanity, or we can use it to manipulate the world for our own selfish gain. Sorcery is a path that uses knowledge for manipulation, destruction, and spiritual ruin. It is the opposite of the true spiritual path, which is a path of humility, obedience, and an unwavering belief that all power resides with Allah. The story of Harut and Marut is a profound reminder that we are constantly being tested, and our greatest test is how we use the knowledge that is given to us. May we be among those who choose to use our knowledge for the sake of Allah and for the benefit of humanity, and may we never be among those who sell their souls for a fleeting and worthless gain. Join me in our next session as we continue our journey into the succeeding verses of this magnificent surah. Until then, may Allah bless you with ilm and yakin. Assalamu alaikum.